Old woman was a last-minute replacement bride, but the young groom fell harder than he ever expected. The wind howled outside the temple, carrying with it the whispers of scandal and disbelief. The villagers had all gathered, drawn not by the wedding feast, but by the gossip. He's only 25. She's old enough to be his mother. They say the bride ran away last minute. And now this. Inside the flickering candlelit temple, Arav stood at the altar, rigid, fists clenched at his sides. His bride, Mira, walked slowly toward him, her face covered by a deep red veil, but her age not hidden. The streaks of silver hair beneath her veil glinted under the oil lamps. He didn't flinch, not even when the priests whispered among themselves. This was supposed to be the happiest day of Arav's life. A wedding arranged between his powerful political family and the wealthy Malhotra family. A match made for influence, not for love. But when Priya, the young bride-to-be, had run off with her secret lover an hour before the ceremony, the Malhotras had made a frantic decision. To save face, they offered Mira in her place. Mira, Priya's widowed aunt. 53. A quiet woman who'd never remarried after her husband died 20 years ago. She had only come for the ceremony. No one expected Arav to agree. But he had. Without hesitation. Bring her, he'd said, stunning everyone. Chapter 1. The Unspoken Yes. The ceremony ended in awkward silence. There were no cheers, no laughter. Only stunned faces. Guests avoided eye contact, unsure how to react. Arav and Mira sat beside each other, now husband and wife. She kept her gaze low, her hands shaking slightly. "I'm sorry," she whispered under her breath. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," Arav said, "but I wanted to." Her eyes snapped up to his. He wasn't mocking her. His voice was calm, steady. Later, inside the quiet of their new home, a mansion meant for a young couple, Mira walked around the edge of the room, afraid to touch anything. "I can sleep in the guest room," she offered gently. "Miri," Arav said, standing near the doorway. "We don't have to pretend. But we also don't need to run from this." "This?" she asked. He hesitated. Then, slowly, "Let's give this marriage a chance. Not for society. Not to prove anything. Just for us." Chapter 2. A Bloom in Winter. The weeks that followed were strange. At first, Mira stayed distant, always addressing Arav with formal respect. She kept busy with cooking, gardening, cleaning, anything to avoid too much interaction. The age difference loomed large in her mind. But Arav was different. Every day, he ate the food she prepared and complimented it sincerely. He listened to her stories. He asked about her late husband, about the books she liked, the songs she hummed while watering plants. He treated her like an equal, not like an accident. One evening, as they walked through the garden, he pointed at a blooming white rose. "You planted this?" "I didn't think it would bloom in this weather," Mira replied.
"It did."
"Maybe winter's not the end for everything."
She paused.
"That sounds poetic." He smiled. "You inspire it." Chapter 3. A Scandal That Turned to Legend. The village couldn't stop talking. Some mocked. Some called it a political stunt. Some whispered that Arav was under a spell. But others, especially women, widows, and elder women, saw something else. They began looking at Mira differently.
With awe.
She hadn't begged for this marriage. She hadn't tried to look younger or hide her wrinkles. She walked through the market with poise, not shame. One afternoon, a reporter from a national magazine came to interview them. "Why did you marry her?" the young journalist asked Arav bluntly. He smiled, not defensive at all. "Because I've never met someone with more strength, grace, and wisdom. I didn't fall for her beauty. I fell for her soul." "And you, Miraji?" the reporter asked. She looked at her husband, then spoke with quiet confidence. "I was taught that love fades with age. But I think age reveals what love truly means. I've never felt more seen." Chapter 4. The Unexpected Courtship. Arav began courting Mira like a young lover. He left notes in her books, cooked her favorite dishes, Bought her saris in her favorite shades, deep maroons and royal blues. He never touched her without asking. Never rushed. But Mira found herself leaning into him during conversations, missing him when he worked late, smiling when he entered the room. And one night, as they sat together on the balcony under the stars, she rested her head on his shoulder. "I'm not afraid anymore," she said softly. "Of what?" "That I'm too old to be loved again." He kissed her forehead. "You're not too old. You're timeless." Chapter 5 of Souls and Seasons. It had been 6 months. What started as a scandal became a quiet legend. Arav and Mira were not just tolerated, they were admired. One day, Priya returned, hoping to beg forgiveness, expecting anger. But Mira hugged her tightly. "You were brave to follow your heart," she said. "Now let me follow mine." Arav smiled at the girl who had once been his bride-to-be.
"Thank you," he said.
"If not for you, I would never have found my true match." Epilogue. The wedding that truly happened. A year after that fateful day, Arav and Mira held a second ceremony. This time, it wasn't rushed. There were flowers, guests, music, and laughter. Mira wore red again, but this time with pride, not hesitation. As they took their vows again, Arav's voice rang out. "I didn't marry you out of duty. I married you because my heart knew, too early, too late, doesn't matter when you find your home." And Mira replied, her voice strong and sure. "Love didn't care about the years I lost. It only cared about the man who helped me live again." And in that moment, no one saw an old woman or a young man. They saw two souls, perfectly matched, choosing love against all odds.